just changed the goalpost. You said you can't insult their Jews. If someone wants to insult my grandfather who's Jewish, they're fine. They have the freedom to insult my dead grandfather.
You are speaking against your people now, because it took a lot. It took the Jewish people. It took the Jewish people a lot of effort and struggle to pass laws against anti-Semitism.
What are you talking
about? Rightly so. Let me finish, and you will understand what I mean. This man, who's a Jewish man, wants the people to now start insulting.
Look into the eyes.
Look at the Jew.
Exactly. Did you hear that? The camera is more important than all of you.
Bollocks to that. This corner has not been aired for 150 years for fucking cameras. So absolute bollocks to that now stage.
Shake hands.
That's right.
So look at me.
Can you believe this? I'm actually agreeing with Steve today.
What's this all about? We've got to go down and look positive towards Steve. What's this all about?
So Joseph is actually wrong in asserting that you can insult dead Jewish people. I believe
I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
I like that song.
It's all too positive to me.
I believe I can fly.
They're singing all good the hellfire.
Without music is perfectly halal.
Want me to sing it?
Okay,
That song is never halal.
Okay, coming back to freedom of speech. Joseph believes that it should be allowed to insult dead Jewish people. I believe no. I believe it shouldn't be allowed to insult any dead or living people. No one should be allowed to insult anyone, because insults usually lead to violence. Okay, let me finish my point. In civilized societies, which is what thankfully Britain is, people should not be allowed. And these extremists nowadays who are talking about freedom of speech and don't know what it actually means. They don't know what they're talking about. Let me explain what I mean.
Can I just
Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to insult. I repeat,
Rashid, that is fundamental.
Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point without being Rashid is fine.
Is it the advert break coming up in a second? When's the advert?
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech does not mean anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. It means to criticize religious figures. You are perfectly in your right to criticize religious figures, religions, and people. No problem with that. Criticism and insult are two different things. We are for criticism. This is what's been happening throughout. Let me finish my point. I'm finishing very soon. Joseph, I'm finishing very soon. Okay?
Finish yourself off quickly.
When it comes to freedom to insult, that has never been part of civilized societies. Some extremists nowadays, some fascists, they want to bring back uncivilized ideas into civilized societies, where they want to insult people and their religions, which instigates violence, and we are thoroughly against such ideas.
Okay, now let me respond. So, you may have very sensitive feelings. You may be a snowflake. You may not like being triggered with nasty words, and that's you. But the difficulty with what you say is somebody has to determine what is an insult and what isn't an insult.
I agree.
And insults are subjective and personal. So if somebody were to say that I have a big nose or a disgusting beard, I might find that very hurtful. Somebody else might find that very funny and enjoy the banter. You can't legislate, thank you, you can't legislate for feelings. You can't legislate for subjective opinion. What you can legislate for is violence. And this is the problem. Freedom of speech. That you spoke for a long time.
Have a Kit Kat.
Just block this out of
Let's have a Kit Kat.
Freedom of speech hinges on being uncomfortable. There is freedom of speech needs to take us out of our comfort zone. Otherwise, it's not freedom of speech. It's just saying what everybody likes.
I agree.
Shake my hand, shake my hand, shake my hand, shake my hand.
I agree. 100%. What Joseph said there, I agree with it 100%. However, the details are far more interesting. If we apply, for example, you give an example of talking about someone's nose, someone's looks, okay, like the Nazis were doing to the Jewish people. They were drawing pictures of the Jewish people with big noses, with a figure of a Jewish man trying to overpower the world around the globe. Okay, these images, although can be seen as freedom of speech by some people, are extremely dangerous for societies, as we saw in the Holocaust. Those images led to the Holocaust. Okay, let me finish my point. Okay, this is why we have to draw a line. A line has to be drawn. How far can we go with our criticism? When criticism turns into insults, when it turns into dehumanization.
Dehumanization.
Yes.
I
know these words. I can use them.
It ends up in a genocide if you draw people's noses.
When you start to dehumanize people, like the Daily Mail does to the Muslims, like the Nazi newspapers are doing to the Jews, then a line has to be drawn. It is no longer freedom of speech. It is anti-Semitism. It is Islamophobia, which should be illegal, and it is illegal, rightly so.
The difficulty of Speaker's Corner is nobody ever concedes any ground, and I will actually say there is some sense and some truth to what you're saying.
Thank you.
But I would go further. I would add to that.
I agree with Joseph.
First time. So
Second time.
One of the distinctions we have to make here is the UK has a tradition. Oh, you're getting this help. The UK has a tradition of caricaturing people. If you pick up the newspapers, it's full of politicians with hooked noses and gangly features, and it doesn't endanger any community.
Good.
And the point that you touched on was the endangerment of a vulnerable people. And I would agree, I think that is where there is. And I would say Islamophobia is real. Some people here will say it's not real if there's something to be worried. No, Islamophobia is real. People have prejudices against Muslims. Transphobia is real. Homophobia is real. Anti-Semitism.
Yes.
And we have to legislate to protect vulnerable communities.
Yes.
I agree with that.
We agree.
Was Charlie Hebdo going too far? Was it going too far, Charlie Hebdo?
No, not in my opinion. And this is the point I was going to come to.
That's a good point you raised.
So
Charlie Hebdo, we're going to talk about that now.
Charlie Hebdo is a great example. They have a tradition of ridiculing Christianity, caricaturing the Jesus, anti-clerical.
They weren't murdered for that.
My point is, religion, God, prophets, they're all an idea. And what do I mean by that? They don't exist.
Okay.
Moses isn't stood in front of me. Muhammad isn't stood in front of you. It's all in our mind. And that we can use all the proofs we want to prove that. But I should be able to criticize and ridicule your idea.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Charlie Hebdo. If Charlie Hebdo was to depict the Jewish people with big noses, with a Jewish man with a hat, what do you call it? Hanukkah?
Yarmulke.
Sorry.
Kippah is a better word. Kippah is
with a hat, with long nails, leaning over on the planet and trying to over the planet. Do you think Charlie Hebdo would be doing something illegal?
So first of all,
that's a simple question. Simple question.
Simple question. Simple answer.
Yeah.
They're not the same. The simple answer is one is you're ridiculing. Listen.
Yeah.
You're ridiculing the people, the Jewish people.
Okay.
One is you're ridiculing Jesus, something that exists in our imagination.
Right.
I
disagree with both. I think it's hypocritical. I think it's hypocrisy. One you cannot do. One you can do. That's what we call hypocrisy and double standards.
You do it all the time.
You can.
You do it all the time. You say Jesus isn't the Son of God. How more insulting can you get for a Christian?
Let me explain. I believe if you want to have absolute freedom of speech, which doesn't exist in any society on the planet, it has never existed in the real world.
None of us have advocated
Wait, let me finish. absolute freedom of speech doesn't exist. It's not real. It is not real. It doesn't exist. It has never existed. It doesn't exist in Britain today. There are things people cannot say in Britain today. If you were to say those things, you would be arrested. You would be put on trial. So we all agree that there is no absolute freedom of speech. Freedom of speech must be regulated. It must be limited. Not by me. Not by me. I agree again with Steve.
I'm not saying that.
Not by me. I'm not the authority.
People are going to talk and we keep holding hands.
So who determines how far does freedom of speech go? Let me finish my point. Now, obviously, lawmakers in Britain and across the West have decided that anti-Semitism is illegal. It doesn't come under freedom of speech. It doesn't come. Likewise, I believe this law should be extended to other people. They should also be included, and we must limit freedom of speech in that sense.
So I just want to fact check one thing.
Again, to emphasize my point.
No, you're saying
I'm finishing right now. Last sentence. That's a good question. Judaism is a religion. Judaism is a religion. No. Jews are a race. Jews are a race. Judaism is a religion. And you can't insult both. You can't insult both. By the way, you can't insult any of them. You can neither insult Judaism nor the Jews. That's anti-Semitism. That's illegal in Britain.
It's
rightly so. Rightly so.
Judaism.
Okay. I'm saying this law should be extended to others.
I'm sorry, you can insult Judaism.
Otherwise, it's hypocrisy.
Okay, can I just fact check a few
Thank
things?
you.
Can I just fact check a few things? You seem to say that anti-Semitism is illegal, but being racist is legal. Being racist is just as illegal as being anti-Semitic. And it deals with the people, not the idea. And this is what you really struggle to separate.
So
let me just finish.
You want to limit freedom of speech.
Let me finish. Yes.
So we agree.
Everyone agrees with that. We've said from day one.
Right.
Incited violence.
So what is racism? What is racism? Primarily, what is it? Let's talk about racism.
Can I just finish my point instead of you dictating the debate? So all I'm trying to make is a very simple distinction. The simple distinction is you have people, and people can be vulnerable and can be harmed in this world, and you have ideas, religion, God. Every Muslim I know unreservedly will say that Jesus is not the Son of God. For a Christian, that is. Let me finish. To deny Jesus is a God is far more insulting than drawing a picture of Muhammad, who isn't God.
We have to agree then.
In your opinion.
And there is the problem.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. I have a question now. Is it allowed in Britain to insult Judaism?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes,
It's not. It's illegal.
No, it's not.
It's illegal.
People
You don't know what you're talking
Miller.
about.
People criticize
Insult. I said insult, not criticize. Again, let me clarify again for Joseph's convenience.
What's the
We
difference?
are talking about insulting, not criticizing. We are for, as Muslims. Let me finish.
You can insult Moses
Joseph,
to the camera.
Okay, let me finish. Joseph, no, we don't want to do that. Wait. As a Muslim, I am for criticizing religions. You want to criticize Islam, do it day and night. We have no problem with that. Okay? You want to criticize Judaism? No. To us Muslims, no, it's not acceptable. Like it isn't in Britain today. Thankfully and rightly so. Likewise, it should not be allowed, like it isn't allowed to insult Judaism, it should not be allowed to insult other religions. This is why we believe in freedom of speech, which is regulated, which is limited, like it is in the case of anti-Semitism.
Which law?
And I'm being very consistent. Joseph is not for some reason.
Which law forbids you from insulting a religion?
Anti-Semitism.
No, anti-Semitism deals with the people.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, show me the law. You can't just say to the camera, I don't know what I'm talking about. Because the UK has a tradition.
Can I write an article?
No.
Can I write an article?
Adnan, there is a show on Broadway at the moment called The Book of Mormon. called the Book of Mormon. It ridicules and rips the Mormon faith. No one's getting
I believe
arrested.
that's wrong.
That's your opinion. That's not British law.
But that's
what you're
double
confusing.
standards.
And no,
That's double standards.
you're not understanding a basic premise of what we're talking about, which is ideas versus people. Me and you are people. Religion exists in the imagination.
Can we criticize or insult? Not criticize. We agree on criticism. Academics always do that. Can we insult Judaism
Yes.
in Britain?
Yes.
That's you don't know what you're talking about.
You
You
can.
don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
You don't know
for
what
the
you're
camera,
talking-
for the camera. You explain to the camera how it works.
Anti-Semitism.
That's for the
Anti-Semitism.
people. Listen to me.
The legislation is
Listen to me. Listen to me. Why do you think that Judaism you can't insult, but Mormonism you can?
Let me go
No, no, no.
Let me
Answer the question.
Let me go to Sheikh Google and see what anti-Semitism is.
So it'll be the IRA definition, which is all over the news.
Google. From what I know, you can't pick Muhammad.
Yeah.
It's legal to depict Muhammad.
No,
So we
no.
don't even know what Muhammad looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, give me a second.
We're not allowed to
This is a
depict
question.
Muhammad in this country. Yes,
No.
we can.
The Muslims.
But I'm not a Muslim.
You're completely missing the point. We don't know what Muhammad looks like. There's no stories. There's no evidence. There's no bread trail. There's no bread trail. Right? There's no bread trail as to what Muhammad looks like.
Wait. Before I go to definitions, look, I put anti-Semitism in Google, and what came up? Articles. Chelsea face partial stadium closure if UEFA finds fans guilty of anti-Semitism. Wait, let me finish.
They turned up in a game with the Nazi death squad logos on. That's what that's talking about. Nazis.
And I agree they should be banned. Such nasty people
But that's talking
should be
about-
banned. Wait, let me finish. Another headline from Jewish Chronicle, the newspaper, Labour official becomes first party employee accused of anti-Semitism, which is illegal in Britain. Chelsea condemn anti-Semitic chants in MOL, DD Europe or league game or something. Now,
come on.
to the definition.
So I've got the definition here, so I've already preloaded it.
Okay.
So the definition, which is accepted by the British government, is the IHRA, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition, which has been all over the news because of Jeremy Corbyn's refusal to accept it. So it says, calling for, aiding or justifying or killing or harming the Jews, or harming of the Jews in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as power of Jews as a collective, such as especially but not exclusively the myth about the world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government or other societal institutions, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoings committed by a single Jewish person or group, or even for acts committed by non-Jews, denying the fact, scope, mechanisms, e.g. gas chambers, or intentionally of the genocide of the Jewish people at the hands of the National Socialist Germany, the Nazis, and its supporters, accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust, accusing Jewish citizens. You see the trend. You see the trend. This is the definition that's accepted by the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, accepted by the Conservative Party.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is the focus, because anti-Semitism manifests in Israel. It's going to distract us from Israel-Palestine. But there is an accepted definition, and it deals with the people, not the ideas. Ideas are free to criticism in terms of religion. I'm not a Muslim. I should be free to
Let's get more practical. Let's get more practical with this. Let's get more practical. If I was to pull out something from the Mishnah, from the Talmud, and I was to discuss it in public, and say the Jews believe in this, and therefore the Jews are likely to do that, and that particular criticism, which is not insult by the way, leads to the persecution of the Jewish people. right? Would that be allowed?
I think that's a very, very strong argument. And so, yes, I think if something is written in Jewish scripture, people should be able to present it to Jews and say, look, this is what your book says, and they should be able to spread that. However,
my question is not that. My question is something different.
Okay,
Is that allowed?
So
if it definitely leads to the persecution of the Jewish people.
If it's not fabricated and you're bringing something from Jewish scripture, so it's an example, and I think it's better to deal with realities. In Judaism, when the Jews conquered the land of Israel, Joshua, there were people that were living there that were displaced and killed. There was a big war, and if a Muslim or a Christian or someone were to come and use this and say, look at what the Jews did back then according to their scripture, that you can't legislate against that because that's what the book says. There's a duty on the Jewish people and educated people
I'll give you a better example.
I'll
give you a better example. During the Middle Ages, the Jews were hunted throughout the West, Western Europe, and Eastern Europe,
and further east, and the Muslim world.
Okay, let's talk about that. These are two different countries. The Jews in the West and the Jews in the East, as in the Muslim world. Okay, let's talk about it. First of all, the Jews were specifically or particularly hunted for their beliefs about Jesus Christ. The copies of Talmud were burnt in public. Okay, after the fourth council of fourth Latin Council, 1215, right? When the copies of Talmud were burnt because the Jews were accused of dicide, okay? Because there are passages in Talmud that insulted Jesus and his mother. Okay, wait. I'm finishing. And based upon those examples, laws are made later on that such things cannot be done again. This is what we call anti-Semitism. You cannot use certain statements from the Talmud to demonize or dehumanize the Jewish people so that they are killed or they are persecuted. That would be called anti-Semitism. Likewise, a criticism or an insult of a religion in a way that it leads to the persecution of the people and their destruction cannot be allowed. And this is why I'm saying, just like anti-Semitism does not come under freedom of speech, it's not a privilege, okay? Islamophobia cannot be regarded as freedom of speech. Now, Islamophobia, who defines it is another good question. We can go on and on and on. This is where